Easy now. Papa got things making his noise.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me tried the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finished change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your back.
Welcome to a special edition of Seahawks Man to Man, a YouTube exclusive. What up, y'all? My name is Mike Dugar. You can follow me on the tweet machine at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. It's also there on the screen. Shout out to Elon Musk. I am verified with the blue check. You guys are already here watching on YouTube, but shout out to y'all if you're a YouTube subscriber. Seahawks Man, the number 2 man, is the name of the channel. Just go hit that button for us. You know, it's good. You know, we get some sponsorships and all that good shit. Chris, talk to him.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kid. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206 and that's CKid206.
All right, we got our final season edition of Standout Plays. These coming from the wild card loss to the San Francisco 49ers that ended the season. I think the final score was 41-23 or something that covered the spread. Chris is going to go with the offensive side of the ball. This time around, I will go with some defense. Spoiler, none of my players are positive. All right, Chris, go ahead. Kick that off for us.
I don't think any of my players were too positive either, to be honest with you. But you could point out what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how they can improve on it, because that's what this is all about, giving you guys an opportunity to see the film instead of us just talking about it and you guys having to close your eyes or find it on YouTube or just envision what actually happened. So this is from the first quarter, 3rd and 2. So this is their first opportunity to move the sticks. And I think, Mike, you tweeted this during the game, the fact that they were in situations where all you need to get is 2 yards. They were probably really happy about that opportunity. Yep. You got what you wanted in the first 2 downs, 3rd and 2. That's very manageable. You can run it. You can pass it. You have a lot of options. And unfortunately, the Seahawks struggled. So you got a bunch to the right. So you'll have Tyler Lockett in the middle, DK on the bottom of the screen, bottom right, and then you have Derek Young right there or that's Cade Johnson, excuse me. And then on the far left, you have your tight end and Noah Fant. So what Gino's going to do is he's going to put a guy in motion, and that's going to be Cade. He's going to go to the outside. So right now, Gino's probably thinking, okay, this could be a blitz. Definitely looks like man. You see the safety up top, Halfunga at the top. He's all the way at the logo. In that scenario, Gino's probably expecting a lot of pressure. The question is who's coming. So I'm sure Gino's calling out, hey, I see Fred Warner in the box. You got a safety down the box. Again, you got one safety at the top in the middle of the field, and that's Halfunga. So we're going to go ahead and run it and just watch the pressure that is applied to Gino. And I want to pause it real quick. Oof. Right now, there's only really 2 options, and I think the 2 options that Gino wanted, maybe Mike and I talked about this off wax. Maybe there was a miscommunication on the route, because if you look, DK and Tyler Lockett are in the same spot. That should never happen. Ever. That's not what you want.
No.
And then the only open area is you have Noah Fant at the top of your screen going up against Deshaun Gibson, the safety. And then you have Ward over here on Cade Johnson. I like Cade's route. If there was a little bit of maybe a hair amount of time, he could have seen Cade, because he ran a great route, great in route, and was open. But unfortunately, Gino gets sacked by Eric Armstead. And I'm going to run it back for you guys again, because, again, Cade does a really good job of getting open and presenting himself. And I want to just show you how much space there's available. Again, the Niners are blitzing here. You have one safety, everybody's manned up, and they're sending the house. So I'm going to pause it right here. Look at the space at the 30 and I guess from 30 all the way up to the 35. Look how much space and opportunity there is. Granted, if Gino is looking that way, but again, Gino wants to hit his obvious top 2 targets, and that's 9 times out of 10 going to be DK and Tyler. But in this scenario, the middle of the field is clogged. And by this time, you already see Eric Armstead. He's moving Gabe Jackson out the way. He is on his way to get a sack. Gino feels that. And if we roll it through, Now is when I would want you to say, hey, Cade, hit Cade right now. This could result in easily a first down, if not more. But unfortunately, D-line, Eric Armstead he's about to make a sack.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the top of the screen, you got Noah Fant, who has a really good release on the safety and creates some separation. And if we roll it, it's another possible play where you could just chuck it up to Noah Fant and maybe he comes down with it and makes a play, huge first down as well. But unfortunately, the pass protection breaks down and it results in a sack. And those are just the little things, right? This is how you lose to a good team. It's straight up. You guys get beat on the line of scrimmage. Your two best guys, clearly there's a miscommunication. They're running in the same route in the middle of the field, taking up space. And then you're having Geno have to think quickly and look to say, oh, Kay Johnson's open. Oh, Noah Fant is open. And in that scenario, it didn't work out that way.
Mm-hmm.
My next play, this just will touch on how good the Niners actually really are. Because Mike alluded to it off wax about Shane Waldron calling up, obviously, plays to beat certain zones and certain coverages. But the Niners linebackers are really in tuned and have a feel for the game. Whereas you look at the Seahawks defense, you have Cody Barton out there who, again, improved over the season. But in the biggest moment, those improvements faltered. He wasn't able to sustain what he did in the regular season and keep improving. And in this scenario here, they come out in 12 personnel. You got 2 tight ends, 1 running back, and you got DK on the bottom left.
Oh, this is 13, actually.
Excuse me. Yeah, with 2 tight ends, Kobe and Noah Fant on the bottom right. And
Stone's in there as well, so that's like their
heavy package.
That's the heavies for real.
So in this scenario, they could you can run it out of this.
Mm-hmm.
B, play action. And in this scenario, it's going to be a play action pass. Now, again, you look at the Niners defense. It looks like this is going to be a cover 3 just based off what I'm seeing. You got your safety in the middle here. That is going to be Gibson, Haufunga down here in the box. And then you got your 2 corners. And then obviously we're going to go ahead and run it through. So I want you guys to watch. If you can see his dreads, that's Fred Warner. Okay. He's in the middle of the field. Watch how there's obviously no one in front of him, but watch how deep he drops, which takes away a throw to potentially Noah Fant. So we're going to roll the play action. Nothing's in front of him. He drops, and it forces Geno to throw it in the dirt to Cody Parkinson. Obviously, if you saw DK at the top of your screen, he was blanketed by the safety and the corner. So you're not going to force that in there. But again, just watch how this defense fills out. No one's in front of Fred Warner. And if there's someone guess what? Cornerback has it covered. Kobe Parkinson is not open. If Geno makes a throw, it's going to be a quick tackle, a minimal gain at best. All right? 2nd and 5, Geno just throws it in the dirt. Again, the fact that Fred Warner was able to get depth, being confident in there's no one in front of me, I need to keep dropping back. And he doesn't even know that Noah's running across the field, but his awareness puts him in that position. And he gives a little, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but he gives a quick glance. Once he backs up, right there. Quick little glance, and he feels that Noah Fant is coming across the field. And then he drops into his zone, immediately signals, we stopped him. Those are the plays that the Niners were able to make consistently against the Seahawks offense. Vice versa, the Seahawks defense did not come up big when they needed certain stops because guys weren't dropping as deep as they needed to be. The pass rush wasn't as effective. All these things combine and show that this Niners team is really talented. And that's what the Seahawks want to be. But this is a good example of how you would want your linebackers to drop in a cover 3 scheme when there's nothing in front of you. Mike and I play football all the time on Saturdays. I try to tell guys, if you don't see nothing in front of you and you see your cornerbacks are dropping back and there's no one crossing, that means someone's probably behind you. So you got to get depth. If you get that depth, you're going to make it a very tough throw for the quarterback. If you don't get depth, they're just going to throw right over your head and it'll be a first down. And the Seahawks have had that problem. So I'll roll it again. Little play action. Noah's coming across the field, and Fred is right there. And that forces Geno to throw it in the dirt, and that brings up 3rd and 5. And again, they struggled on 3rd down. It wasn't a pretty sight, but that is just an example of a good Niners defense hitting on all cylinders. And, of course, Shane Waldron called a great play, but when the Niners defense is hitting the way it is, nothing's available.
Chris, I want you to run that one more time, and I want you guys to pay attention to the two routes here. Just watch DK's route and then watch Noah's route. All right, because it's gonna be important as the show the plays. You got Noah, basically like a deep over, and DK running a go. All right, now let's go to. Can you throw mine in there, Chris? All right, cool. So this is important here because as we kind of talked about after the on our post game pod, what's really disheartening if you're the Seahawks is not only in this game, but in a few other games this year and last year too, they had this problem as well, is teams beating them with just variations of the same play. Not even doing no fancy shit from on a per play basis, really just running variations of the same joint. The Rams in week 5 of last year is probably one of the more damning examples from last year's game. The Panthers in week whatever that was, I think 14 or something, was probably the worst example of the regular season where the Panthers just closed the game out running a variation of the same play. It was very disheartening. And they had no answers for it. Same thing happened in this game. All right. So I'm going to run this. And as you'll see, watch the route combos here. Bottom of the screen, go ball. Intermediate route is a deep over. This play is actually incomplete. This is the first play of the game. I think the ball just slips from Brock Purdy. But same thing. Watch the bottom of the screen, deep ball, intermediate route, wide open. Because that first route was wide open, which is why I threw it in here. Okay, we got the same thing, except no play action this time. Where's the deep ball come from? Bottom of the screen, over. This is really crazy. You would think that, Chris, I'm just replaying the exact same play. I'm not. These are all different versions of the same concept. Again, top of the screen is who runs the go ball this time, and then George Kittle just comes on the over. Like, this is really disheartening just to watch, because it's one thing if a team just kind of, I don't know, out muscles you or whatever. I don't know, some other things that would be maybe more disheartening. But like DJ Dallas made the point to me after the game, he was like, they didn't out physical us. Like, that wasn't the problem. He couldn't pinpoint it really specifically, which is fine. Guys usually need the film to watch to really know. But this really is just a version of the same joint. But the reason I wanted to show Chris's play, because it actually ties in, and we didn't plan this, but remember how deep Fred Warner got on that previous play. Now watch the linebackers here on Seattle's play. Look how far up they are at the line. Like, they are damn near at the line of scrimmage on the play action. And that was out of, what is this, out of pistol? Yeah, this is out of the pistol, right? Pistol play action. Everybody bites up hard, and it leaves Tariq Woolen, it leaves Michael Jackson with no underneath help at all. Like, it's actually pretty, like, it's a shame. It's actually good for the Seahawks that Brock just sailed this. Otherwise, Debo might have scored. Like, the chances of him scoring, Chris, probably what, 60%, 70% based on what we saw him on that 74-yarder or whatever. And we got the same thing here. Watch the linebackers again. I think they got Chief Alex Johnson in instead of Tanner Muse. This time they run it from under center as opposed to pistol, the other one. Guys come up. Look at that. There's no one underneath to help Tariq. Cody's trying to find it, but remember, look how Fred was able to just feel it. Cody looks for it, doesn't find it. Ayuk, I think that is wide the hell open.
Yeah, that's Brandon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Ayuk, yeah. I got these sunglasses on because my freaking I gotta adjust. If y'all know how to adjust the brightness on ring lights, help, because this shit's bright as hell. I'm gonna fix it though before our next show. But either way, I got hella sunglasses, so it's not that hard. This time, the linebackers don't even got no play action to bite up on. Brock just drops back like some old school 7-step drop 1980s football. And there's still not enough depth to help out Tariq. You see that thing? Who is that right there? That's Cody. Cody's trying to get in the window, but he's not all the way there. And then still no help for Tariq. And again,
I think another thing that comes into play is trust. Because in a lot of these situations, like, how much do you trust the guy next to you to do their part? Are you thinking too much? Like, oh, is he going to be in the right spot? Because when you're thinking a lot, like, keep going back, Mike, because there's a play within this where it looks like Cody's like, oh, is Jonathan Abram picking it up? Like, you could see, like, do I need to be closer to the line of the scrimmage, or do I need to keep dropping? And it's really it's a confidence thing. These guys have to play more with each other. Well, that came off really weird. They have to play in the system together.
No, you're right. That's what they gotta do. They need more time together.
Exactly. You know? So, and you look at what the Niners do. They've been together for some time now, and they get it. So hopefully it can get better. But this is a sole example of just how open things were, just because of not being comfortable. Maybe you don't trust the guy next to you to play his area. Because if you don't trust the guy that's playing next to you to cover his area, you're going to cheat. And when you cheat, that opens up something else that maybe is drawn up for this offense to beat you defensively. So that's all I wanted to add there.
And I don't even think necessarily there's a lot of like cheating necessarily going on here. It's just not having that same feel, that same eye discipline. Like you mentioned, that glance that Fred took, like, okay, there's something, there's something coming. That same stuff is just not there. Let me go back to this last one. Like it's just not. Again, there's no play action on this.
Yeah,
they can just drop.
Yeah.
See, like you can just drop to get in those spots, and then you can't. It's the same. They're running the same version of the same thing. Like they for real could have just stuck anybody out there. At one point, I think one of these is like Jonas. They got some dude who wears number 6. I think his name is like something gray or something like that. Maybe it's not, I don't know. This is someone who doesn't catch any passes. He just runs a go ball, and he pulls 2 guys. Like those 2 guys getting pulled, Quandre and Mike Jack. They're doing their part, and so they're like, all right, cool. Let's get into 2 high. They're killing us. All right. Same thing. This time they're running out of the shotgun. Like they just dressed up. It's unbelievable to see something like this from Kyle Shanahan. They're just running a version of the same joint from pistol, under center, shotgun, no play action at all. We're just going to run the same thing until they stop it. And this is the same joint. And see, we get a little bit more depth this time around. We actually do. Who's that? Is Cody again? Yes. Yeah. Cody does, like, he's in the window right now. This is also where having a pass rush helps. Because look at Brock. The closest people to Brock right now are me and Chris. Like in this frozen part of it. They dropped a lot of guys into coverage, and there's just nothing. No one's near Brock at all. Brother back there could have made a panini. Let it cook, and just I'm hungry right now. That's why I threw that out there. Let it cook, and then ate the joint, and then washed it down with something to drink. That's how much space and how much time he has to throw. And you could see Ryan pointing as the deep dig or the deep over comes, and there's just no help. And then there you go, he's beat. He's wide open. It's like it's a combination of a couple things, and I can just loop this as me and Chris talk about it. But it's a combination of good coverage beaters meaning stuff designed to beat whatever you're in. Good coverage beaters, which they had, and poor execution. And the combination of that is 90% of the time an explosive play. Like their first play probably should have been a touchdown, Chris. Like when you really look, that first joint that was incomplete. If Debo catches that, he's going to score.
Yeah.
Like, he's catching it in stride with Michael Jackson about 10 yards behind him. So he really just has to get a block from Ayuk and make Quandre miss an open field. Quandre easily could get him, but like that's a tough assignment. So like that was really, I can see why Kyle Shanahan came out throwing. Someone asked me that when we were talking about the game. Like, man, the Niners really came out throwing. It's like, yeah, you see why.
Yeah.
All this shit is wide open. And it was not even complicated, really stuff. Yes, it's a beater for what they're in, but there are ways to cover it. Because like Chris showed, that's why I love the play Chris picked. I'm glad you picked that. The Niners have to defend a very similar thing. It's not the same exact play, but it's a similar idea. Pull the corner with a go ball and bring someone from the other side of the formation to the vacancy in that deep third, and then hit the guy. Because underneath
can figure it out.
Exactly, because that you're putting the stress there you're putting the linebackers in conflict. That's what you're trying to do. Fred Warner was like, conflict where?
I know what I'm doing.
Yes. And that's just the difference there. That is the difference. It's not even about, when we think about coverage with linebackers, we think about like playing man or run, like turning and running with a guy. No. A lot of time it's zone drops like that. Like the Niners are really good. Dre Greenlaw is good at it too. But Fred Warner is quite literally the best in the league. Yeah. And it showed like there's so many things that the Niners are the best in the league at, and the Seahawks are really lacking in. And zone drops is one, pass rush is another. There's just so much stuff, like just cornerback coverage. Yeah, it was bad. I don't know if I need to keep showing all this, but this is the first one. Yeah, Chris, if he catches this is the Debo joint. Let's say he catches it like right around here where it's supposed to be. Yeah, he might score, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if Tariq's taking him down.
Yeah, he's got all this. It's basically, it's him and Tariq, him and Tariq and Quandre, and I think that's Jennings or Ayuk versus, that's 2-on-2 basically with Mike Jack trailing. That could get bad. You can close this out. You close it. Yeah, so those, like I said, my plays were not positive. Chris's necessarily weren't either. But when you lose by 18, it's very hard to be positive. But the reasons that they lost are really, you can see there's a few things, but those plays that Chris showed and I showed, it's like there's a difference between elite teams and teams that still need to grow or whatever. Fred Warner, when was Fred drafted? Chris, 2018 or something like that?
Let me
Check.
pull it up, but I think you're right.
He's been. My point is, he's been in the league for a little bit.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. So Fred's been in the league a little bit. He's played a lot of football. Let me see how many games Fred has played. Fred has played 81 games, regular season games, right? So including like Super Bowl and playoffs and stuff like that. So he's just seen a lot of football. He's seen a lot of cover 3 beaters. He's seen a lot of quarters beaters. And that means the other guys around him too. Drake Greenlaw has, Travarius Ward has been around for a little bit. Gibson, like all these guys. Even Hufanga, they just feel like they just popped him in there. And he's been nice. Chris, he's been nice since you pointed him out to me before we had Barrows on in week 2. You were like, they got this Hufanga dude I want to ask Barrows about.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. When I started watching the Niners film, I watched the game too, and he was everywhere. But I was like, you know what? I saw it on the field. Let me just go watch the tape because now I can see everything. Because usually you don't see everything when you're watching the game broadcast-wise unless you're at it. And even then, my memory ain't photographic, so I'm not remembering everything. So having the film was really clutch. So I go back and watch the film, and he literally was in every play. Blowing up a block, being in the backfield, making a tackle for loss, deflecting making a pass breakup. And I knew he would be a problem if the Seahawks couldn't figure out, like, hey, we got to figure out what to do with this guy in the box because he's going to be in the box. And it didn't even matter because Nick Bosa and those guys ruined the Seahawks. Seahawks didn't even score a touchdown. So he was definitely part of the problem. But, yeah, Hufanga, he's talented. Hell, all-pro this season, second team, if I'm not mistaken.
He picked off Geno, too, in that first game.
So, yeah, he was someone that I wanted to watch just because I had really not heard of him up to that game that I think they were playing previously. I think it was I forget, maybe it was a Sunday night game.
No, they played the Bears in the monsoon week 1.
That's what it was. Played the Bears in the monsoon, and he was just a wrecking ball, just everywhere. And
I mean, he only started 3 games in his rookie year, 2021. He's a 5th-round pick, so it's not that surprising he didn't hear of him. And then last year, their safeties were Jaquiski Tart, I think, and Jimmy Ward. I want to say number 1 and number 3 were their numbers. So yeah, he's on the map now though. He played great.
Watching this film, I remember tweeting like, "Yo, if the Seahawks gonna win this game, they got to find out where number 29's at."
Yep.
Because if you don't know where he's at, that's a problem.
Yeah. That's in the execution. Yeah, this game was such an example of just one team executing on such a high level, and for 40. How long was the game? 60 minutes. Sorry, I'm about to say 40 minutes.
15 times 4. There we go.
Yeah, I was one team executed at a very high level for 60 minutes. The other executed at a high level for about 35-ish to whenever Geno fumbled. That was the execution stopped about right there. And yeah, you just couldn't have that, and then it just snowballed. But there was some schematic stuff in there too that stood out. Chris has some good examples in it. For me, I think the most disheartening thing you could have as a defensive coordinator, as a defensive player, is when one team beats you with the same shit repeatedly, just dressed up differently. And I wanted to show all the different iterations of it, from under center, shotgun, pistol, play action, no play action. They ran every version of it you're gonna run without putting Kyle Shanahan in cleats and having him run the dig route. That was the only thing missing. And if there was more time in the clock, they probably would have ran that. So like that's pretty frustrating, which is probably why Pete Carroll was so focused on that side of the ball when we talked to him to his end of the season press conference. Because when you watch the whole season, there's tons of stuff like that where a team just picks a scheme, whether it's a run scheme, a run pass dual thing going, a play action thing. They can just, you play Madden, I don't play Madden, but you can just, if you just hit the same button, it'll work, until your opponent stops it. The Seahawks have to that's got to get fixed. That's priority number 1. Make sure teams got to be multiple to beat us. They can't just press circle every time they pick a play and it works. Because come on, you're not gonna win shit with that. I can promise you that. I don't care who you got. I don't care if you got all pros. You ain't gonna win shit with one team can just beat you with a play over and over again. That's pretty bad.
Well, there you have it. Those are our standout plays from the wild card game. Unfortunately, the Seahawks do fall to the 49ers, but we'll be back with more. Mike had an idea about what we should do, maybe come with our top plays. And then I got another idea that I'll pitch to Mike off the air, of course. And then we might come with it as we have hopefully some guests this spring and summer as we get ready for the off season and then get rowdy back up because, before you know it, it'll be training camp. So
I could use a little break in between then.
Definitely understand that, but boy, time waits for no man on that regard. So we want to thank you guys again for rocking with us on another episode of Seahawks Man to Man, just a special edition of our standout players of the week. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Appreciate all the love and support from the whole season, man. All the questions that we got, all the feedback, all the tweets, the DMs, the texts. We see it all, even if I don't necessarily get back to it all right away. I see y'all from Scotland, see y'all from Germany, Brazil, London. Shout out Adam and Stu. We see it all, man. This is so much. I want to express as often as I can. That love is real.
Shout out to my folks over there in Japan and China. Appreciate the love. So,
we got people over there too, Japan too.
Yeah. They listen
all of that.
So
that is real. We appreciate all that love. We're not gonna stop, like Chris said. We're gonna keep going. But yeah, the cadence will slow down a little bit because Mike needs some sleep. But
good.
Yeah, I ain't got out of bed before 11 the last 3 days. It
feels good.
Oh, it's outstanding. But yeah,
tomorrow.
More to come. But I just want to show that appreciation for the season, off season. We're bringing it again with some guests, hopefully. So anyway, appreciate your love. We'll catch y'all next time.